The Answer.
Back on Get Down to Business, we're chatting with J.J. Montanaro from USAA. J.J., you commissioned a fascinating study of parents, their college-bound children, and their access and usage of credit cards. I know many of our listeners may not want to have this conversation, but we're going to have it. J.J., thanks so much for coming back on Get Down to Business.
Hey, Shalom, thanks for having me. And I would correct you in that I didn't commission it. USAA Bank did, so I don't want to take credit or wield power that I don't have.
Well, you're able to yield the power because you're the one sharing the message. So it sounds like parents are about just about as willing to hand over their credit cards to their kids as they are car keys. Tell us a little bit about what that commission what the study has determined about how families use credit cards.
Yeah, pretty interesting, and I think one of the most shocking findings was that when we asked parents in terms of likelihood that they were going to have conversations with their kids, the same number, 82%, said they were as likely to talk about budgeting and managing money as they were academics. So clearly money is on parents' mind, and also there's a definite willingness to send them off to school with a credit card, because again, about half parents said that the kids that were either enrolling for the first time or going back to school were doing so with a credit card.
So we're going to get to the budgeting guidance that parents are providing to their children, but I'm curious: does the average student go off to college with their mom or dad's credit card in their pocket?
So I guess if you take, about half of them do, and I think what we take from that is just that they ought to be going off not blindly, but rather with a game plan in mind. Because when you look at credit and the impact it can have, there's some pretty long reaches and long tails as far as things from getting a job with a potential employer looking at their credit, getting an apartment or a home, again, a landlord looking at credit, insurance rates they pay in a lot of states are impacted by how they've handled credit. So the thing is, yeah, sure, it's about being able to get a loan and get a competitive interest rate, but parents need to make sure that their kids understand that there's a lot of other places or parts of their lives that are impacted by this, the start they get off to with credit.
JJ, when does USAA recommend that parents start to have that conversation about providing budgeting guidance for their children? And secondarily, we're going to get to the subject of actually starting to plan for college, which is also a budgeting and financial planning decision. But when should parents start to have the conversation with their kids?
I think it should start well before you're sending them off to college, and it can be certainly some small steps and some conversations you can have. It could be something as simple as allocating an allowance and making sure that the child knows that, hey, part of this money is going into savings, part of it's for your fixed expenses. My youngest daughter has a job and she works, and so we have constant conversations about, spending money is okay, but you should be saving money and you should be doing other things with your money. So I think the conversations, I guess my point is, they should be happening as the child is growing up and not necessarily waiting until you're getting ready to launch them off to college.
Absolutely. And on that same vein, on that same note, regarding planning for college is a little costly, isn't it, JJ?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of a look back, and so I think it was the Wall Street Journal each year produces a average amount of debt that graduates are leaving school with, and so I went back and looked at 2011, so 5 years ago, and that number was $23,000 per year. Flash forward to the class of 2016, and that number has grown by more than 60%, up to $37,000 a year, and so that's just not when you look at the total package that we're wanting our kids to leave school with, that's a burden that we don't want them to have. And so I think to your point, Shalomi, what really should be happening is there should be some budgeting and money conversations up front in terms of the education, how you're going to get that education, how you're going to pay for it, and then what's going to happen on the back end. Because if you're going to go out and love your job and love what you're doing, but the reality is it's a $35,000 a year job, then leaving school with a couple $100,000 of student loan debt probably doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it probably doesn't. And planning ahead is really important. Planning ahead is important for parents in starting the college funds plan, as well as in also having that discussion about education with their young adults. Don't just hand off that credit card willy-nilly and just say good luck, and I hope you don't mess around with this, because we all know the numbers. Credit card debt is on the rise. Student loan debt is so high, and families really need to be responsible. So, JJ, I know we only touched on a small portion of the USAA study, which is so important to talk about budgeting, planning for these young adults that are the future entrepreneurs and professionals running companies. But, JJ, where can people learn more about USAA in general, and obviously the study that was commissioned on the subject?
Yeah, so for more information, folks should visit USAA.com, and specific to credit cards and that sort of thing, you can just go USAA.com/credit card. And again, Shalom, I mean, to me, the key thing is to have these conversations and give your kids a foundation to build from, as opposed to just throwing them out there and letting them sink or swim.
Oh, it's so mission critical, and we appreciate you coming on the air to share this information with our listeners. We'll be sure to check back in with you soon.
All right. Thanks, Shalom. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Once again, you're listening to Get Down to Business. We're powered by Tandem HR. Check out their resources on their website, tandemhr.com. But don't touch the dial. We've got more for you after this short break.